Okay, so I say again, let's understand how he's explaining the dynamic. So the Chiddush is Migila Lebana Iraz Zeh Shemalchem Alechem Mesharas Mishtamishim Boy. What's the secret to the angels, with which the angels serve God? The secret is Oised Dvarai and then Lishmaya Kol Dvarai. They create their word, the Eibishter's word, and they come to listen to his word. And Al Derech Zeh L'mayla. So he asked him, hey, so this is what Yidden pray. This is the big secret that they are megale from the Baalaratz and Raivin the Chalraivin. He spoke about the Ratzon Kloli, the Ratzon Proti, and the Ratzon Kloli is Raivin the Chalraivin. That's the Baalaratz. And before there's in the individual Ratzon, so Yidden are mamshech and touch the Eibishter there. So he asked, you say, how can they do that? Because the whole Metzias of making him Melech, the whole Metzias is because of Midas HaMalchus. So there's no to be Ma'ida the Eden, and that's the Pshat in the Gemara. That's the whole beer over here, that the Shagas, the roar of which the Lashon HaZoyar, the Zoyar describes the Malachim as a Shagas Aryeh. Shagoyin Ka'aryin Takifin, they roar like powerful, like strong lions. That's the Chayz that already happens, the Maila, and that sets in place, and therefore Eden are able to do so. So that it means that we have to understand what this means. What is this, a game? How does this work? The Shaila was a melech b'lei so the answer is, well, the angels kind of create that by through them. They're the and their cry creates the Ratzon Limlucha. But it doesn't, because he has no desire to be a melech over angels. So the Indian is that it is all a setup. The Eibishter is setting all this up for our benefit because he wants a relationship with us and he wants us to be ma'ored. So he empowers us to be ma'ored by setting that up in ishtalshalas. Malachim aparav ishtalshalas. And they have no choice. They're created this way, programmed this way. The Chayas HaKodesh, they're holy animals, but they're animals. And even Seraphim. So they do all of this. It's all the great compliment to us because what he wants is us to be able to do so, and therefore has to set that in motion already in the whole Bria in its highest levels. And that's what we say every morning in the whole Isbonenus of Avas Eilam. And before that, the whole Avodah of the Malachim. What's the whole point of that? The whole point of being misbein in the avodah of the malachim and the kodesh and Baruch Hashem kved avayim im koyma is explained at length in Chassidus. The whole kavan of this is avaselim levona v'charta, that notwithstanding all of this, it's us that you desire. And now we're getting more nuance in that it's not that their avodah is rejected or compared to what God desires valueless. Their avodah is valuable because their avodah sets in motion and empowers us. But their whole avodah is for us. This is the Kodesh of Baruch Hashem. This is what we're going to say soon. This is what he's talking about. The Chayze and the Ratzon Limlucha. First Kodesh and then Baruch Hamshacha Mim Kaimai from a higher place even than Kodesh, as all the Pratim is explaining Chassidus, that we ought to be thinking about once in a lifetime before we say Krishma. Or every Shabbos. Or fleetingly during the week. Saying the words. Listen, I got to make a living. I have to go to work. So that's the way it has to be. But at least to know that in all of this, if you've learned all this already before, then in some way, the machshava, that it does contribute to your davening, your shema, and your hafta, b'cham b'eitchem, all the gewaltige dargas that it speaks of, that
like the Yom Yom. The Yom Yom, you have in mind before davening, and all the chassidus I learned is will be part of my davening.
Yeah. It's not magic. It's if you really want it, then it'll have an effect. Okay, so what did he say? So in the Proteus now, what's the again? This is how we concluded yesterday. A Chazara. No, we actually didn't even finish the Chazara. We say. So how does he? What's the Oised Dvore? What does the pasuk say? We know the pasuk by heart. That's the pasuk that the Maimon is dealing with throughout. The pasuk says, it's quoted. It's from the Gemara. It's quoted in the beginning of the Maimon, 4 lines down, 5 lines Chsiv. Baruch Hashem Alochav Gibori Koyach. And the words that he's focusing on are Oised Dvore Lishmoi Bekol Dvore. The Gemara says, Bereisha Oised V'Had Lishmoya. First Oised and then Lishmoya. So they make the word and they come to hear it. So what did he explain? What's the word? The word is what? What's God's word? Malchus, that's his governance, his mitzvahs, his gzeiros. So they pale it. They pale this desire within the Eibishter. And we do the same on a much deeper level because the kavan is us. So at the end of the Oisei, let's have a look at the end of Oisei again, first paragraph. Let's start with the Kamoiken Be Yisrael. 2/3 down. Yeah? So Kamoiken Yisrael, just like the Malachim also Yidin, Shehikdimu, Nishma, that's the Oisei Dvaroi. So they are touching the will of all wills, the Balaratzen, from which later emerges the individual words. That's the Dvar Hashem, the Gzeiris, all of the commandments. V'nimtza comes out, Shehem Gorm B'tchila Asiyas Aretzonis HaPratim. They affected the individual Ratzonis by touching the Ratzon Kloli that contains in Bekoyach all the Ratzonis Prati. So the Dvoroi are the individual commandments. But how is Oised Dvoroi? Because they touch the Balarotz and Raivin the Choraivin. Again, V'nimtza it comes out. This is not so obvious. V'nimtza it comes out because the Dvorim only emerge later. It's not the darga they're touching. They're not touching the Oised. The Oised, they're making the word, not fulfilling it, but creating it, fashioning it, forming it. How? By touching the Baal, by being ba'oida, the Rotz and the Mlucha. They, Eden, are the ones that cause the individual desire, wills of the Eibishter, the Ramachmet, again. Because Yidna Ma'ira, the source, Bechinas Raiv the Chorav in Balarot. She who is Barech Reitzben, the Eibishter should want them. And then that want then manifests itself. Now you answer this question, please. How does, from the Rotz and Kloli, how does this work? The Ritzoin is Protium. Where do they come from? The Rotz and Kloli, okay, God desires us because we have pledged our allegiance to Him in the deepest way. That's the Oised Dvore. The Oised Dvore, touching the Bala Rotz, as you said before, the Oisius here, that whatever you want, we'll do. We're yours totally. Good. We touch God in His deepest way, and we'll ma'eder the Rotz to be Melech over us. But how there is already the Ritzonis Protium just waiting to emerge. Where do they come from? Out from where?
Like conceptually or geographically?
I mean conceptually, and therefore geographically.
Actually, because he wants a relationship with us. So if we have the relationship needs to manifest itself in the details. So
Okay, and a little more. So why these details? Why these details? Huh?
Because it's the Ramach Ivarim and the Shehikdimu and all that. It's all the
Of whom?
of us and of Hashem. So
Of
of Hashem, and then we
us. No, of us. It starts with us. It's the Pnimius HaKavon starts with us. Since this Ava a Yid Ramach Ivarim v'Shehikdimu, but Musa, that's why he manifests 10 Svidis and then they vote him the Malka and all of that. In fact, it's the opposite. Maybe she's not Mukhrich in any of these Giluyim, any of these manifestations. But since Allah B'Ritzoyin, Atzmos Mamash, Dir B'Tachtoinim, which that means the relationship with a Ish, a Yid, Proti, and a Guf, Gashmi, Lemata, with 248 limbs and 365 primary veins, whatever the beer there is. Therefore, and therefore Esesvidis, and then they vote. So the answer then we got from here, I think, is why from the Ratzon Klali, what's the hechrech that it's going to be in Ramach mitzvah saseh and shasah lo yisaseh? The answer is because since the Ratzon Klali is one relationship with you, and you are built like this, therefore I'm going to command and address every part of you with these mitzvahs. That's what you were saying, correct?
But how can you say that?
Sorry?
How come you're saying that it's from us? He's not mukhrach to make us with Ramach Ivarim or Shehikdimu either. I thought that's just a reflection of what he is.
So just to fine tune that, of course, it starts with Nisave,
Right.
Atzmos. But Atzmos is the Eibishter's essential desire. Is not. Let's unpack it. It's not to be framed this way. I want to manifest Esesvidis, etc. That's I want to manifest. And I want to relate to a person. So therefore, I'm going to make him a being. That's in the Seder Advarim. In the Seder, like, we emerge last. But in terms of the Kavanah, in terms of the Pnimius, it's the opposite. Nisave in Atzmot, there's no rationale for that. It's beyond all rationale. There's no hechlech, there's nothing. It all begins, the whole creation, Sof, the highest dargas, all begins because Bamin Nimlach, the Eibishter entertained, it all starts with the relationship. And therefore, because we can't explain why that is. Why do you need a dinner? Why do you want a relationship? Why should it be like this? There's no answers to any of that, because that's all Atzmis Dike Prire. But that's what the Eibishter wanted, is a Yid like this. Therefore, I'm going to reflect that and relate to him. Even though the Seder is going to be, in terms of emerging realities, he's going to come at the end of this long, elaborate process of Ishtalshalos.
Yeah, that I get. But my question is more, you said that he made 365 mitzvahs licensing and 248 mitzvahs licensing because that's how we are. So he wanted it to and he wants to connect us, but we don't need to be that way. He made us that way. So
okay, so
it's more just
that's what I'm saying. So it all starts. Let me make it clear. The beginning is Bchiras Atmos, and there is no rationale. Period. You did it, but why do you need it? Dibdachon is not why God created. There's no reason why God created. It's what the purpose is, not why. Why do you need a purpose? There's fundamentally no answer. It's like, why did God exist? There's no answer to that because there's no question. It doesn't exist in the realm of why or not why. So it all starts with that Atmos, obviously. Start with that Atmos. And what's the inexplicable, just like he's inexplicable, fundamentally, so too the Nisav is inexplicable, and all the Nisav includes the Tachten as the Tachten is. Yeah. Now, once that is there, then it's Ola Piseichel, then God should manifest with Esesvidas, and then it all follows. But why should this all be? Why should he manifest 10 Svidas, etc.? Anything. The answer because this Ave, it's all mitzvah atzmos, and there's no explanation there, and cannot be. We've spoken about this many times. We need, but the human mind like it bristles when it hears there's no explanation because it sounds like it's less than explanation.
Almost, yeah.
Huh?
Sounds like pointless almost if you.
Yeah, I mean no explanation. But the Seichel understands behechrech. Seichel understands its own limitations. That there's just to pare it down. Why does God exist? If there's an explanation for why God exists, then to hell with the God you're worshiping and worship the reason. That's no God. You got the wrong address. There's no reason why God exists. The best we can say is He is because He is. And so everything must start, it does start there. Because He did. Once that is in place, then a million questions. Now that He articulated that he wants to do b'tachtonim, then the why kicks in. How does this fit in? How does that fit in? Why did this happen? We have a lot of answers. We have a lot of things that remain unanswered. But the whole Torah mitzvahs in that was explicable, because since He chose to have a b'tachtonim, and the person says "Machim one v'shagidim," now we understand why there's a mach mitzvah and mitzvah loisesa, and why the mitzvahs are like this, tefillin, midas, and everything, a billion layers of explanation. That's all after the Bechira.
Seems like there's something fundamental to the relationship being in this way. Meaning it's almost, obviously the relationship with the Jew is first, but how it's going to play itself out in Ramach and Shasa and so on, we can't have one before the other. He created us that way because He wants to connect to us in that way, and therefore the mitzvahs
just qualified. It's called because He wants to connect to us. That statement sounds like there isn't us to begin with. There isn't. There's no to begin with.
No, but once there's the
That's all. That's all part of the Nisava.
Yeah. So but once it's the Nisava,
right?
The Nisava includes. But in that way,
right?
Why would it include that? Because that's the way in which He's going to want to connect to us, right? Otherwise, He could make 27 and 34.
Correct. Okay. So good. Okay.
So, but in that sense, there must be something like at that level where, like, and I'm talking about more chronologically, that the mitzvahs have to come into place at that time and that level too, because without, the only reason He's making us in that way is because at that level He wants to connect to us in that way. Once we're there, He wants to connect to us in that way, and so therefore the number of the mitzvahs we connect are also fundamental at that level.
So mitzvahs, they're pretty high up, but neshamas Yisrael precede them.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
Okay. That's fundamental.
But
once there's
role in their as their chiluk
yes, but the desire there too in the Neshamas Yisrael is to have a connection to the Neshamas Yisrael already. That's Nisava Kodesh Baruch Hu is the origin.
Yeah.
Period. What does Tachta mean? Tachta means all the pratim that's going to make up the Tachta. That's already, as it were, envisaged in Koyach and all the dargas there already in Atzmus. So Torah mitzvahs come after that. It's the next step. And that is not even. Before it's going to be Oilin Sof and dargas before Torah emerges even. Even before Torah emerges. The pshitas of Oilin Sof, and from the pshitas will come Kalim. It's a whole process. That He's not mukhrach in. None of it. But that whole process, gufa, is a part of Dira B'tachtonim. Why? Because in order to be a Tacht, there has to be an alien. So the whole process begins with the alien, Sheba alien, Sheba alien. And he wants Tachten, nothing lower. So in order for nothing lower, it cannot be contrasted with nothing higher. So this, the Daigis in Bligvul, infinite, the language that we have only because he allowed for it. This Dargis in Bligvul and Bligvul and Bligvul is all in the end only because that's going to serve the Nisav of the Tacht. And our task is to appreciate all of this and to learn Takish Talshas and appreciate the alien, etc. All to bring out the Gewalt of, and what your desire is, Dafka here, and all that serves this here. They're not incidental, like the Shagas Arya. The whole Avodah Samalachim is all integral to our Avodah. Out for the Yid. It's all for the Yid. For the individual Yid. Which Mashiach embodies and reveals that every Yid is everything. It's all very connected to Lag BaOmer, then that I should be. It's Megala this. Yes, I want clear. So let's finish that ois we just finished doing now. So the nimtza again, shehem Eden, Gorom Utchila, they are the first cause of us. Siyas Aratzoinis Aprotim of the individual wills of Hashem, Ramach mitzvahs eseh, v'shasam mitzvahs lo yitzaseh. Al yidei, because I'm shachosam im keiram b'chinas rayvin nechol rayvin balarotzen. They touch the balarotzen, and what does that mean? Sheyiyu hu yizbarach reitzeh bahen. They should want them, and they are made of Ramach yivorim v'shasagyidim. Hashem is going to be the Ritzonis Pratim. He's almost saying it, black and white. Shezeu oiseh dvorei. They make his words, again, the Dovar are their individual Ritzonis. And then comes Lishmaya Bekol Dvorei. Liachlesh Yisrael Shehikdimu Naisa Polam Shachas Haratzin Tzapradin Shamach Mitzvah Shamitzvah. After Yidden effected and they listed the individual desires of God, the individual mitzvahs, as I Hoyer Gama Inyan, the Nishma, it's interesting why the past tense, but then comes the Nishma, Sheshom, we listen, we keep our Ritzonis Apratim, we accept individual Ritzonis, like the Malachim, Adarach Nishmei Bekol Dvorei Lachrei, I said Dvorei Nishmei Dvorei comes after Lachrei, I said Dvorei. So then we get into the individual Ritzonis of each mitzvah that addresses each part of ourselves and the world, etc. And we do that by Kabbalah soil too. That's also a Kabbalah soil, because that's what you want. You want a relationship with me, and I have Ramach yivorim v'shasagyidim. So therefore, you manifest your mitzvahs with the precisely the same way. Ramach mitzvahs es, mitzvahs lo yisaseh. So what's the Kabbalah's oil here? I'm that significant that you need to have a relationship with me? No. How good for that you want a relationship in the pratim with me? This is almost because that's your desire. That's the Kabbalah's oil. The recognition that the Ritzoni Prati is all because of Nisava. That's your inexplicable grace and greatness and choice that you want a relationship with me in the pratim. Even as we are experiencing the pratim and relating to them and enjoying them and understanding them, the nishma, what's the value of all of this? Not lost is because that's what you chose and desire. That's the Kabbalah's oil that's translated into the pratim as well, which Pel Mamish manifests in. We don't compromise and we pay attention to detail, and it's all and looking to be yotzeh. The details become very critical. Yeah, we'll go further. We're up to here, yeah? Did you do the next paragraph? No. Shem Shem Daisid Vareitz Malachim Hu. Yeah, the same way that how did the Malachim Peil the Isid Varei to arouse with neighbors to the Rots and the Melucha, they are shy, the cry, the roar. That the roar usually of the lion is an expression of power and control, the lion being the Melech Shebechayis, but here is the opposite. It's the cry, the Gewalt, the longing. Kach gam be Yisrael os Yidden shema she'oderu Paul l'mayla gili bechinis. Yeah, I'm just pausing here because I don't know if I told you a story, but it happened to us several times. This was where was this? It happened in Grand Bizou, and then it happened in Australia with my kids. That's not a joke. And we're standing there, this is years ago, and the lions, they're sleeping. So just the kids started saying the psukim, not screaming it, just saying the psukim. And I'm telling you, the lions started to roar. They came running from all over. They're running the attendants. What's going on? And it was even crazier. It was in Australia, the Hillsville Sanctuary. It's a famous sanctuary of wildlife, Australian wildlife. And there was a whole meadow of sleeping wallabies and kangaroos. Mishloft, they got nothing to do. And there was hundreds of visitors from all over the world, Asia especially. It's not far they come. And the kids said the psukim, one by one, the kangaroos got up, like at attention, responding to the children. You had to see it to believe it. What's going on over there? That's the highest. That's the shaiga. So what? Just like the roar of the lion, the gewalt. So what's the gewalt of the yid who akdomas hamotzor motzik the goddess for Shibit Mitzrayim? So Matan Torah had to come first before the motzor, and the motzor means the motzor means the constraint, and the motzor means pressure of golos and Shibit Mitzrayim, of the exile and the Egyptian slavery. Yadu bin Kura Basel the Mitzrayim, as it's on the pasuk describes it as a smelting pot, as a furnace. Shepol, when it did it affect it. Shenizdachach b'nei Yisrael, Yidden became refined. V'nasa ru'yim v'kabbalah satirim became worthy to receive the Torah. Sheidizeh bol yedei tzayke b'chinas erchayzer, and that this was their cry. Mishakosav yoncha b'nei Yisrael. And the Yidden sighed v'yizaku, and they cried out v'tal shavosam b'lalikim, and their supplication ascended before God. V'hainu shahoyu b'tachlis ha'meitza, and they were terrible constraint, l'yispashtas klal, without contained, without freedom, without expression. Mavad nekudas achai is just a nekuda of that they're being Jewish. And that was crying out. The Eibishter responds in kind. So the Eibishter constrains himself. We're coming from this constraint, so he does the same. He puts all on the side. They got the malachim and the giluyim all on the side. And he descends and contains himself to come down to that place from where the Jew is crying out to him. And to lower himself, as it were, this labish, and to express himself, but it's saying as pratim shebemitzvahs, to relate to the Jew in the most intimate way, mirroring the way he is built, and the individual mitzvahs, therefore, are expressed by him. And likewise Torah. And he's made mitzvah, same mitzvah of Torah. Shavshim said, Atzmai, Rubayim, B'chinas, Haratzim, B'chinas, Acham. The Eibush is beyond the tzeinus of mitzvahs and beyond the chacham of Torah. And yet it comes down in Torah also in the way address does. And it's in brackets, Kulam Chacham Asis, the Alter explains, where does the Perek Zayin, the Perek Tes. In Shayichet ve'emunah, and explain the pasuk, Kulam, all of them, b'chachma sisa, you made with chachma, on a deeper level, the pasuk is Kulam, everything, the pasuk is equating action with chachma. I'm not sure actually with the Alter is not ma'irich, but it could be the pshat is you don't make with chachma, you make with your hands, but it's guided by chachma. But the fact that he's equating chachma asisa is hinting that asiya and chachma l'gabe eibush is the same. Shalagabe yizbarich nechsheves madrigas hachachma kilo b'chinas madrigas asiya. Chachma d'atzilus is like asiya. So even chachma the Torah is what is a hashpala. God descended into Torah because min ha-meitzar to come down to our world. Yeah, we'll go further. Oizvav, where is with me? So this gewaltige up to the Yid of touching the will of the wills that Yidden effect and draw down through their total bittul of nasa before nishma. Which is the source of the individual ritzaynus and amachnitzes. So this is reflected, the same model reflects. Everything is integrated. Hashem echad. So it's all integrated. This is also found and present and manifest where b'teira legabe mitzvahs. Teira is raiv the legabe mitzvahs, which is mitzvahs pratia. How so? The matter is as follows: in Yedu Shatir in Yikras Adam. Torah is called Adam. Commissioner Kosov, as the pasuk says, Pashas Chukas, Zois HaTorah Adam. This is the law of Adam Kiyamas Ba'el. But if you just read it, Zois HaTorah Adam, what's the Torah? Is Adam. She b'chinas tzir Adam. Torah has the tzir of an Adam, and what's that? Ramachivorm Shasagdim. 248 limbs, 365 veins. That's the mitzvahs of Torah. Ki yadu as it's known, the 248 mitzvahs and 365 prohibitions correspond to the limbs and the sin and the veins. But that's not the ikad of Torah, the mitzvahs, the individual commandments. Amdom. Adam. Why is a person called Adam? Not so much because of the tzir of the 248 and 365 components of the body, but rather, it's the blood that courses through all of the limbs. Ki Adam hu aleph dam. Adam is, I don't know what the aleph represents. Huh? Shomer, racist, dam, but it breaks the two words, aleph dam, blood. Well, first and foremost, he is the union of dam. It's the carrier of life. Let's go a bit further. What do we see about the blood? The blood is invested in all 248 limbs, and they're all very different. The blood doesn't change, it's in all the limbs equally. Between the blood in the head and the brain, or the blood in the foot. It travels and traverses throughout the body equally. This is reflected in the life force that animates the person, that's invested in the blood, who are nefesh, that's the soul, so it's equally present everywhere. It comes from the heart and it's pumped out, it goes to all of the limbs and comes back to the heart to be oxidated and to be cleansed. It's explained in the medical books. So the blood is continuously moving throughout the body. It's the same blood, the carrier of life, and it comes back to the heart and it's pumped out of the heart. And that's Torah. What's the inyan? V'inyanoi. Ba'nim shelo ha'Torah. So that's Torah. Sha'aras hamshachas b'chinas rayvin derayvin. Torah is the rotzen kloli compared to the mitzvahs. Shomayda b'chinas is chalkus, that's in sapratim, which is beyond the individual wills. Of the 248 and 365, correspond to the components of the body. And he explains that's why, where do we see this Inyan Klali in Torah? Torah, we see, unlike mitzvahs, are very bound to time and space. Torah is not that way. It's not bound to space and time. Anyone who involves in learning the laws of the Korban Oila, it's like he brought the Korban Oila. When? He's learning at night. You don't bring the Korban night. And outside Yisrael, not even through a kohen. Why doesn't he say Golus? Why doesn't he say Golus? It's the biggest chiddush. Don't know. Don't know. You can't be mimkaim the mitzvah itself at night and outside another kohen. Through learning, I say, like he brought the Korban Oila. It's the will of all wills to my mischalkas beyond his chalkas. So we're going to further detail about that. Be'ezer Hashem. Hashem Yazer should be the emes of Freilich Halag Ba'omer.
Amen. So everything he's saying today here is a little in contrast to what we usually learn, that the Torah is the Chachma of the
Ratzon is higher,
and the Ratzon is higher. So here he's saying l'chayre.
The Akash will be even stronger at the end of the next paragraph. We'll address it.
Thank you.